Everybody is, as you mentioned, has a unique situation.
When you don't know something, everything can congregate in your head, right? And you can get all these visions. I'm going to be on the street living, and
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to afford my children. And
So that will help you put your emotions aside, because when you take, we are into emotional turmoil, right? As you mentioned, when you don't know anything, you are always emotionally confused.
I started taking my wedding ring off, and I started putting
Hmm.
it on my other hand. Welcome to the Just Separated podcast. Hi, I'm Karen Oman, a thanatologist, grief counselor, divorce strategist, and co author of the Just Separated workbook. I draw on years of personal and professional experience to guide you through the challenges of your divorce. Together, with our expert guests, we'll equip you with the clarity, resilience, and tools to take charge and move forward with confidence. Follow Just Separated and join us as we explore the many different facets of divorce. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Just Separated podcast. Today, I am super excited to have Neepa Padia on. She's a certified divorce coach as well as a life empowerment coach. And today, we're going to talk about the quiet struggle inside the contemplation stages of divorce. So, welcome, Neepa, to our show.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So, before we get started on this topic, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got here?
Sure. So I am a CDC certified divorce coach and a life empowerment coach. I specialize working with immigrant and expats. I provide them tools and resources at their every challenge, like every stage of their challenging journey, so that they feel empowered at end of the transition, be it the divorce or a job loss or major illness or any such challenge they are going through. And my aim is to ensure that they never feel alone, and I'm there with them at every stage, providing all my support.
Yeah, it's well needed, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
today we're going to talk about the contemplation stages of divorce, whether you're going to stay or go. And I want to just start off by saying that for most of us, including myself, I had a long mix emotions with that. It was a long struggle for me to figure out, should I stay or should I go? So it's not as simple for many of us that we just say yes or no. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it is more or less the same for everybody, because when that's a whole life challenging situation, right? You are, and like changing as well, because when you are in your marriage, you have different setup, be it your with your kids, with your spouse, with your whole family. And of course you had a lot of dreams in past. When you got married, you had a dream life when you were in going into that stage of life. So when you think that your dream is not being fulfilled, or you are not happy, or you are not in a state which you envisioned, then of course getting out of is also equally challenging, because you are getting out of that state even if you are not happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think more or less everybody goes through that challenge, and that's why I picked this topic, because this is very close to me. And whenever I talk to any of my clients, most of them, I haven't seen any single client who has not been through this challenge. It is, I would say, the most anxious part of your journey is this. And it's same for me as well. I have been through the same, that okay, what am I doing to my life? Is it a good idea to get out of it? What if I get out of this, then where will I fall? Will I be able to manage the legal proceedings or my future, or how will I manage? And being an immigrant and expat, I was a dependent spouse. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a job, and top of it, I had no idea about the rule of this country, the legal process, and there was nobody around, no friends, no family, everything was new. And it was another challenge, that okay, now how to start that next stage of your life. It is again challenging
Mm-hmm.
to proceed that stage. But so I would say, to answer your question, yes, more or less everybody goes through it. And the thing is, end of it, you should not be stuck in that that situation. Either you make your marriage work, try to do that, or
Mm-hmm.
you get out of it. But being stuck is not a good idea. So take your time, and just taking time doesn't mean just be in there. Work on yourself, take help, talk to people, take professional help or any other help, empower yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then take a decision what is right for me. That's called a rational decision, right? That
Mm-hmm.
okay, logical and rational decision, putting your emotions aside and see what is good for me, for my future, my kids and my family in long run, and then take the decision. So I think that topic is on that only.
Yeah, I remember for myself, it was I had a lot of guilt feelings about it. When I don't know if that comes up with your clients, it does with mine.
Yes.
I didn't. It felt like a failure, if I couldn't make it work. And I did try to make it work. And I know some clients of mine have tried to make it work. When you
Mhm.
say like, if you're all in, then try to get it in. Like try to get better with the marriage. But it's still once you get some clarity, and that's I just want to mention for myself and others, it's kind of unique to everybody. What one person's clarity isn't always going to be other person's clarity. Like I'd like to say, like I'd like to have. I always said I was talking to somebody else, and I would always like to say, like wish I had an assessment test for you that you could check everything the boxes off and say yes. Now you should get divorced, but what
Yeah.
I would check off won't be the same thing as you would check off. And
No,
so it is
exactly.
so unique to everybody that, and I know I've had that where they're like, well, how do I know? And I'm like, well, I can only suggest it's literally your person. You're the one in the marriage. You're the one that has to decide to leave. So I don't know what your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's so true because I would just repeat that everybody is, as you mentioned, has a unique situation, right? Even if there are two sisters,
Mhm.
same household, or maybe two, but still the situation, your personality, your nature, your spouse nature, everything is different. So for everybody, it's a unique situation. And what I have seen in most of my clients, which is very common, I would say, which it is my observation, is that there are certain things that those elements make them feel more stuck, like for example, uncertainty, where we can
Mhm.
say uncertainty of future, uncertainty of how will I manage my life after divorce, how will I handle my kids and their education and their future, you know and will my own family and friends support me,
Mhm.
how will they look at me after I go through divorce. This I have seen mostly in the immigrants who are from the country which are more like close knit family culture driven, and so these are some kind of uncertainty, or I would say a fear, which is fear of unknown, and that actually keep them in the same situation. They think that okay, at least I am where I have been living for many years, so
Mhm.
at least I can survive. That's the next is complete gray area where they. So that's, I think, one of the reasons. And another is it's very common, which everybody here experiences, kids. Like again, should I go out of it? What will happen to my kids? There's a good co-parent or a good father, so I want my kids to be with the father, or rather I don't know I will be able to manage as a single mother or a father for my kids, and I want financial support for my kids. So I don't think I should get out of this marriage,
Mhm.
but just remain in this, and then I'll see once my kids are 18 and in college. I'll think about it. So that's, I think, another reason people remain in that stage, and keep consoling their own self that okay, that's okay, I'll just spend some more years, or rather, I've been living in this situation, I think I'm fine with it. We are physically separated, mentally separated, it is just that we are in the same household. You're just trying to console your own self, just to be stuck more and more in that. And third thing I have seen is financials, which I
Mhm.
already mentioned, is some are dependent spouses. I mentioned in my example, I was a dependent spouse. I didn't know how will I manage. So that way, when you are dependent, or in an immigrant and expert, there is a more dependency, like dependent spouse visa. where you
Mm,
are in this country only based on your husband or spouse or wife's visa. If you are dependent, once you are divorced, you are no more dependent on your spouse and
mhm.
you cannot stay in this country. You have to make your different arrangements. So these are some other reasons I think people remain there
Mhm.
for a long time, uh, and then they don't know how to get out of it even if they really want to.
Yeah, I remember saying that when with my own, because I was 19 years. I remember saying, "Okay, I can make it till the girls are in post-secondary school. I can do that."
Hmm.
I remember
Yeah.
saying exactly what you said, and I'm
Yes.
like, and it was so difficult.
Yes.
And one of my wise aunts said to me, "You cannot,"
You
and she
cannot.
was right. I couldn't. But some people, as you said, they stay in, and they think like the longer they go, the easier it'll be to leave. The decision to leave um, is also a difficult one, right? Like like the actual decision, and then all the
Yeah.
uncertainty. That's been another theme that's come up today a lot. Is we've talked about you've talked a lot about how the uncertainty with it all, right? So
Yeah.
um, I don't know, how do we address that uncertainty?
So as uncertainty is like, main is fear, which we have seen, and sometimes fear is it's our own subconscious mind that it's like fight or fly
Mhm,
mode, where since you don't know anything about the future, you are fearful about it,
mhm,
and then you think too much about it. And when we are in fear, we always think negative more. That's our
mhm,
psychology, that we think about what will happen, this can happen, this can happen. We always think about can happen or may happen. And in reality, if you see and if you look back in our own cases, what we were scared of or fearful about, half of the thing didn't even happen,
mhm,
you know
mhm,
or rather, those who happened made us more empowered or stronger or powerful to face another challenge. So I think this fear is something that we need to fight for. So
mhm,
uncertainty is a lot of things are due to fear. And as you said, what can we do?
mhm,
Best thing is to put yourself out. First of all, tell yourself that I want to work on it.
mhm,
Prepare yourself. It's not that work on it meaning I'm just taking divorce right away tomorrow. No, just preparing yourself inside that, okay, I'm ready to fight. And then you take help,
mhm,
because sometimes you need help. It's very important. Like when we are sick, we go to the doctor. We don't treat ourselves for every single thing, right? We go out, take help of the doctor, the medical help we take. So this is also some kind of that help you need. Go out to the professionals, the experts. Go to the coach or therapist, or whatever situation you are going through, whoever are the experts for that, go talk to them. It's for your own sake, for your good future, for your sanity. And get some help, advice. Put yourself out and see, and then take it from there. And of course, you have your own family and friends always around you. The only thing is they are always there, and you should take their help. But the thing is, they might not be as experienced in
mhm.
as in your situation, or everybody has not been through divorce or the situation. So they are there to help you, but you need a professional help. Go out there. That thing, I think, the first step you should take.
Yeah, I agree. When I think back to my 7 years ago, after my swaying for 8 years, what I would have done, the first thing I did, Neepa, was just grab a lawyer, because that's what everybody used to do,
Yeah,
right? But I
right.
wish if I could go back that I would have had more of a supportive team to
Mm-hmm.
kind of empower me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to help me through that process. Because when you don't know something, everything can congregate in your head, right? And you can get all these visions. I'm going to be on the street living, and
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to afford my children, and they're going to take my children. You know what I mean? All these things. And once you have power, or educate yourself and become
Yes.
prepared, the
Mm-hmm.
better the process is going to be. Divorce is tough. That's why I love having this team approach, and that's been coming up a lot lately in our divorce world.
Mm-hmm.
Is having the right team.
The right team.
It'll honestly it'll save you money really in the
Mm-hmm.
long run, and it'll save you a lot of stress.
It's an investment. I use two words. First of all, like taking help from such different experts from the team is an investment in for long run, investment in your future. And second is, since now you want to get out of it, when you are ready, take divorce as a business of divorce,
Mm-hmm.
where you are into business, or when you are starting business, right? You are all into it, you become professional, and you do whatever you need to do. You take out help, you go out to people, you reach out to people to build your business and grow your business, right? So this is like similar approach that take as a business of divorce, and see what is needed for you, like what steps are needed for you. And also that will help you put your emotions aside, because when you take we are into emotional turmoil, right? As you mentioned, when you don't know anything, you are always emotionally confused and turmoiled, and you start taking decisions from your emotions, and that's why you put yourself back that, okay, I can still spend 2 more years before taking this decision, because you're emotionally so confused. And once you are confused, you cannot think through, and when you cannot think through, you cannot take the right decision. But now, since you are investing in the help, you are getting more clear. Once you are clear,
Mm-hmm.
you can think through, and then you can take your divorce as a business of divorce, putting your emotions aside. Of course, emotions are there, but at the right stage, like emotion would come like, what I need for my future, what how do I like to design my future, how can I secure my kids education and their future. And those are, you should use emotions over there. So that will help you clear your mind, take right decision, and take it from there. So yeah, that's why it's very important that first step is take help from the team, build your team. And these days, Kenan, one thing has happened. Of course, it was not there when I was going to divorce 10 years back, or maybe for you too. But now we have everything available online. There are very good support
Mm-hmm.
groups online, which are dedicated to for divorce support, and those groups are really helpful. Of course, they are not going to help you 100%, but that will give you some think that you are not alone. At the same time, you have someone to discuss and get some guidance from. When I say guidance, that doesn't mean that your and other person's journey is the same, but at least some inputs, like like some input, meaning, oh, there is a divorce coach, or there is a the right attorney, or there is a therapist, right? When I was going to, I didn't have an idea that, oh, I should go to a therapist. But if I have a
Mm-hmm.
support group, someone is going in the therapy, that person would tell me that, did you try therapy, and that will open my eyes that, oh, I should be trying therapy, that kind of support group. But at the same time, I just like to mention, since I'm talking about support groups, there are some random online Facebook or other
Right.
platform support groups who have no idea about divorce, who have no idea about legal process. And once you try to take help there, just because it's free, and they start bombarding, oh, go to the police, ensure your spouse is in the behind the bar, or just do this, and that is very dangerous. So I just want to mention here as a disclaimer that, no, don't go to that random support group which can lead you into trouble and there is no comeback. But there are very good support groups that you should be joining. Yeah.
Well, I think good investigating, right? Like check it out first, because
Yeah.
as you were saying, you can get ones that are empowering you and helping you, but you can also get ones that are going to put you down the rabbit hole and keep you
Hmm.
angry and resentful and bitter, and we don't want you stuck, right?
Yeah.
It's a You need empowering when you're going through divorce. You need as much support as you
Exactly.
can. So yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. You need to have really look before you just give all your vulnerabilities out online, right? So just be
Hmm.
mindful of that.
Hmm.
I also, um, I was thinking that, though this could be another conversation, but when you are at that point of, making that decision, for me myself, it was very clear. I started detaching my own identity. I started, I'll admit to you that about a year before I knew it was going to happen. That energy I knew, you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. The energy I
Yeah.
knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
So what I was starting to do, and I'm not saying this to the audience to do this, but I started taking my wedding ring off and I started putting it
Mm.
on my other hand. And so I was starting to detach slowly, and
Mm-hmm.
that happens in the grief world as well. As we start
Mm-hmm.
detaching, and when we start detaching, we can feel moments of grief. And I remember taking my dog for a walk in the park, and I would have tears, and it was not because I didn't think it was the right thing to do. I think I was just overwhelmed by what everything that it was going on, that I thought I had failed in life, right? I had that
Mm-hmm.
moment, and I was tearing up, but I started changing my feeling, that identity change, and the taking the ring off. And for many women, and I'm sure men too, for some with the wedding ring, it's pretty much very, very a symbol of that commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's a idea for people that to try that, if they're thinking, if they've gotten to that point where I was, but it did really help because I started detaching that full year before. I don't know if you have any other suggestions. It was just one of those ones that I did myself, and I thought
Mm-hmm.
I did it naturally. No one told me to. I just said, you know what, I have to start detaching, and that was one of the ways I did it.
Yeah, and I think it's a very good point that you, as I mentioned, you have to prepare yourself. First, you need to be ready inside. So I think what you did was the same, that you started preparing yourself and take your own time. Since you've been there in marriage for many, many years, taking one more year to prepare yourself is not a harm. Rather, it's again
Mm-hmm.
an investment in your own self, right? So I think that's the once you are ready, see, once you're ready, it gives you different power. I'm sure once you started detaching yourself from that, it would have given you more space to think better about how to deal with it, right? Or maybe once you're
Mm-hmm.
detached, you can now think of what is next. So that's why preparing yourself is very important. So one thing you mentioned was this one, we talked about the what do you call, taking help, right? And there are other thing also that start getting organized. And again, in that it I just want to make sure my phone, sorry. Yeah, getting organized, meaning start preparing for all the documents, have access to whatever documents you have, because that's another thing, that oh, I have no access to finances, I have no access
Mm-hmm.
to the documents, I don't know how my household is being managed, everything is taken care by my spouse. And again, I'm repeating it, I have seen more this in immigrants, where it is sometimes completely male dominant household, where even if the spouse, the wife is earning, the wife's salary is also being managed by the husband, and at that time she has
Mm-hmm.
no access to the finances or anything. In that case, at least start preparing yourself, collecting all your documents, just the basics, so at least you feel again confident when you think that, oh, I have access to my own account, or I have my own credit card, or I have access to my own passport, or other document, or kids documents which are very necessary, right? That gives you some
Mm-hmm.
confidence that, okay, I started preparing myself, my base is getting ready. That will, trust me, that gives you power and confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, start preparing. It was one of my old
Yeah.
first taglines I used in
Yeah.
divorce workshop was prepare for your divorce, because you really do need to prepare, right? And so that's
Mhm.
the for some of us, that's doing the homework before you actually make
Yes.
that decision and tell them that you're
Yeah.
leaving. So, do you have any other suggestions or tips for the audience before we wrap up about the what I really did want to mention? It's the quiet
Mhm.
struggle, because for most of it, it is pretty quiet, right? It's not
It
like
is.
we can broadcast it around and saying, I'm debating about divorce. I mean, you may do it with that with some close friends or family, but it is a quiet struggle.
It is a quiet struggle, and that's why this particular stage is very, very crucial, because sometimes you yourself are not sure what you want to do. At the same time, you don't know who to talk to, and third is, whoever is guiding you, you are again not sure whether the guidance you are getting is right or not, because a lot of factors are involved, right? So it's a quiet struggle where you are not clear because you are at the stage where you haven't even made any decisions. Once you have made the decision, then it's clear where did what to go. So in this quiet struggle, keeping your own best self is very important. And when I say that, meaning
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself, maintain your routine, use whatever you are doing your to keep your good healthy keep yourself healthy and fit. Do exercise, yoga, go out for a walk, go in nature, spend quality time with your kids, or at least follow one activity or your hobby or passion which can recharge you, because keeping yourself intact and strong is very
Mm-hmm.
important in this stage, because you are silently fighting it, right? So you need something to boost you, to charge you. That's very very important to do that. So, and another thing I have seen, and there are some surveys as well, so I just like to mention that when you are ready and you like to now sit and talk to your spouse about your decision that okay, you are ready, you want divorce, first, just don't do it casually. Take like, as if you're taking an appointment. Take time where kids are not around. See your partner is ready to discuss. He or she doesn't know what you are going to discuss, but in the ready stage. And then take your quiet time, talk as if you are doing a discussion, like as I mentioned, if you are going for a meeting in business, and put your points. Second is, when you communicate, don't start the blame game that you did this to me, you did that to me, that's why. No, I feel this because this is it is, just frame it like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel this because I want this, and I think this is right for us, and like that, rather than just you did this, that's why this. No, that's not going to help, because it's may trigger your spouse, and your
Mm-hmm.
goal will not be served. So prepare yourself, put everything on paper, and then talk. And another thing, as I mentioned, there are some surveys which says that this is the time where there are chances, or they've seen that lots of violence, because the other spouse is not
Mm-hmm.
aware or prepared or ready, and when you talk about it, triggers their anger, or sadness, or they feel like abandoned, or whatever they go through when you talk about this thing that first time. So there are chances of violence. So to ensure that
Mm-hmm.
when you talk, you have someone is aware, either your friend or
Mm-hmm.
family, who is outside, and if needed, just keep them a phone call away so that they can
Mm-hmm.
reach you when needed. So I would say, just when you are first time talking to your spouse, prepare yourself thoroughly and then talk, because this can trigger, if your spouse you if you are into a abusive relationship. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something I would like to mention.
Yeah, it goes back to the thing in the workbook that we have,
Mhm.
that know who you're divorcing. So if
Yeah.
they have a temper,
Mhm.
you're right. Make sure you're in a safe place to tell them that you've decided to divorce. So at the
Yeah.
end of every podcast, every episode, I ask our divorce professional this question. So for someone who is just separated, whether they left or were left, what advice would you give them to help them navigate those overwhelming early days?
So one, I already mentioned that keep yourself, maintain your good self. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second, keep set your at least three priorities, which I always work with my clients. That priority not for the divorce, for your future, like what you really want to get or achieve or become after this transition or after divorce, because this one you are not happy, or maybe you are forced to get out, but now you want to build your secure, brighter, better future, and it's in your hands. It's a plain slate, right? So have at least three priorities ready, and plan back your journey. So when you are just separated, you have the chance to see, okay, these are three my priorities, and what step I need to take to achieve those three things, in future. And then if I have to let go something, I'm okay to let go, because that's not my goal. Once you are clear in your mind, when you know what you want in future, you can easily navigate, and you can still keep your hand upper hand, that letting your spouse that, okay, I'm letting this go. So that person may feel good thinking that that person won, but eventually you are winning over them. So
Mhm.
that's something I always said, that keep clarity, keep your future in mind, plan things back from your future, and navigate your journey.
I love that because that's like the seeding
Yes.
that we had talked about previously. It's just
Yes.
like the seeding, right? So I love that because it's such an overwhelming time, but to start what we call in the grief field aspirational goals, start
Mm-hmm.
even though it's really hard, start planning or even, saying them, writing them down, whatever. So that is great advice. So I thank you so much for coming on. I hope to have you back on later in the year. And thanks, Neepa. It was great information as always.
Thank you for having me, and I wish everyone a very good luck. And I trust me, you are actually empowering yourself for your better future. So have trust in yourself, have faith, and go from there. Thank you all. Thank you, Karen.
Thank, thank you. Thank you for joining today's discussion with our divorce expert. Check out the show notes for more about our guest. If you're finding value in our podcast, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our YouTube channel at Divorce Workshop. Share your questions, comments, or guest suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. For a comprehensive divorce guide, check out our Just Separated workbook on Amazon worldwide. This workbook covers everything from emotions and co-parenting to finances, legal insights, and recovery, a must-have for anyone navigating separation or divorce.